Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this episode of the Grappling Rewind Podcast. On this week's show, we are going to recap KASAI Pro 4, and we're going to recap Fight to Win 93 that took place in Scottsdale, Arizona. We are also going to preview Fight to Win 94, the King of Mats 4, and Zapatero 18. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine, joined here with my co-host,
Ryan Stark.
How you doing, Ryan?
Good, how are you?
Doing pretty good.
Good.
So let's kick it off with a little bit of news. Not a ton of news this week because of all the events going on, but in big news, Gordon Ryan signed up for the IBJJF No-Gi Worlds. How do you think he'll do, Ryan?
I think he'll do very well. I think he'll win.
Really, you think he'll win?
I think he'll win.
That is a bold prediction. I mean, he's in a pretty decent division, but it's No-Gi Worlds in an ADCC year, an ADCC off year, but with a trials year. No-Gi Worlds is always a really weird event. Everyone kind of almost doesn't take it seriously.
Yeah, it's almost like the least prestigious IBJJF event for being a world's competition. It's weird.
You always hear it's like, oh, four-time world champion, and they're like, in No-Gi, and everyone's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Because it's just true. We have a championship for No-Gi, it's called ADCC, and the IBJJF is like, we're going to have one too, but no heel hooks and reaping.
That's actually a really good point. I didn't even think of that, but now I think that the reason Gi Worlds is so prestigious is because there's nothing above it.
No, for the Gi, I mean, that's the most prestigious event in the world in the Gi.
Yeah.
Pretty much hands down. There's not really anything that comes I mean, your other IBJJF major titles, like your Europeans, your Brasileiros, your American Nationals, your Europeans, your Pans. But really, I always think that, No-Gi Pans and No-Gi Worlds are, almost the same level of prestige because they're just kind of multiple steps behind ADCC.
Yeah, true.
I would almost put, a trials winner for ADCC up there with a No-Gi world champion.
Yeah, and I think because of the rule set with No-Gi Worlds, it takes a lot of players out. There's a lot of people who don't like IBJJF because of the rules. So when you do that, it's going to take away some of the talent. So you're left with people who are just really good with the point system, and then I think that it just degrades the talent, whether they're good or not. People just don't respect it.
Yeah, I think it's really cool though because we just saw him at Pans, right? No-Gi Pans, and he cleaned shop there. Clean house, clean shop.
Yeah, clean shop, clean house, cleaned everything.
Yeah, he won. That was pretty great to see. So it's exciting to see him doing more big major events, running into more big IBJJF guys, as opposed to just the submission only and the ADCC guys. Then showing hey, I can do this too. I'm still very, very good, and there's very few people in any rule set that can beat me. So that's exciting. Kind of sucks we didn't get to see him on KASAI Pro 4 this weekend. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into that event breakdown. But I'm excited to see him on more stuff.
Did you also see any of the beef going down between him and Cyborg on
Yeah,
Instagram?
That was funny.
Yeah,
they got into it and heated, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's And I think there was interesting pieces from both sides. I'm not going to go on. We don't usually go through beef too much on the show, but it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Gordon Ryan has been hot recently on Instagram, and but he usually is he's usually fairly respectable to the guys that are respectable. So it was really interesting to see him kind of go back and forth really heavy with Cyborg. It was oh, this is interesting. What do you think about it?
Yeah, he just said and the thing that I think made Cyborg mad is he said, I'm gonna literally take him down, pass his guard, and submit him like a child. So he technically did, I guess, call him a child, and for somebody
he cast the first stone.
Yeah,
in this one.
Definitely. So he was like, I didn't, and his response to Cyborg saying, be more respectful was, I didn't really say anything mean. I just said what was going to happen, which I think, I don't know. You can't really call somebody a child and expect them not to get upset.
That's a little mean.
It's a little mean. Yeah.
It's a little savage too, and
a little bit,
we've seen these guys meet before. They met at ADCC, and Ryan got a heel hook and was cool, and Cyborg was I got nothing for this, and just didn't let him blow his knee apart. But that's actually how you tap there.
Yeah.
You're oh cool, I got beat in the position. Let me let this guy blow my knee in half and get cranked and walk away here because I got beat.
Yeah, that's the main thing I've seen everybody comment on is the fact that if he can't heel hook, he's not going to be able to beat Cyborg the same way. But you can still reap and stuff now and get leg control, can't you? You can't do that?
Nope.
Wasn't he doing that at Pans? No-Gi Pans?
He wasn't reaping. So there's a really, really weird not weird. There's an interpretation of the rules. Not interpretation, no. It's legal. There's a position you can have your legs that looks like a reap that is not a reap because of where it's located in conjunction with the knee and what leg you have over. It's not a reap.
Okay.
Because it's not below. It's not. I don't know, Gordon Ryan has a whole video on it that he shows why it's not a reap, and actually in the rules, it's totally legal in IBJJF. It looks like a reap, but it's not. It's just a leg control position.
Okay.
Which I thought was really interesting. Some refs will call it as a reap, Some refs will not call it as a reap, but it is not technically a reap, and it is legal.
Okay, I definitely saw him use it a lot, so maybe I just need to pay a little bit more attention.
We also saw him
to
get
what's
the
going
back at pans a lot and
Yeah.
murder from the back position.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
oh, yeah,
yeah.
he can do both things pretty well.
on. Yeah, and if you go back to Quintet, he was passing everybody's guard, so it's like I just think I'll be excited to see him versus Cyborg and everybody else.
Yeah, I hope they'll bracket that so that we'll see it. I could see
they
that
will.
going either way. I see them meeting up in that competition because Cyborg, always goes really far in that. And then Ryan typically always goes far in anything he's in.
Yeah.
So in other news, Gary Tonin subbed his guy in MMA to really surprise of no one.
Yeah, not at all. And had a awesome guillotine, as he's just one of the guys I've always watched. That's one of the favorite moves of watching him do. His guillotines look so deadly. Like,
Dude,
he
his
just looks like
guillotine-
he's going to pop your head off.
And his rear naked chokes. There's a great picture I have of him. Somebody has their entire hand in the choke for the rear naked choke, and he just chokes through it. He's like, it's not really going to stop me.
Yeah, yeah. And I love his setups. He always has really good like hand work and leg work to make sure he gets the control position in order to finish. He's not just like a snag and jump on it kind of guy.
He'll
he'll work it in.
Yeah, and really good control of it as he goes through the position to finish it.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's not a whole lot of other news. You got anything else, Ryan?
Oh, no.
All right, let's move into the breakdowns then. Hold up. So one more thing. I've been on vacation this week, so I went up and trained at 10th Planet Bethlehem, and everyone's super fucking friendly.
That's
there.
awesome.
That was the first time I ever trained at 10th Planet Gym, and everyone was super friendly, super nice. Got to meet a bunch of guys. Black Belt CBD was there. Got to talk to those guys. Got to roll with one of the guys from Black Belt CBD. He crushed me. It was great. And then I got to roll with a bunch of guys from the 10th Planet Gym in Bethlehem. They crushed me. It was great. You ever feel like just a white belt?
Yeah, very often, all the time. And I'm like, what have I been doing with the last 8 or 9 years of my life?
Yeah, I was like rolling. And it was good. I got to train with Ray Ray. I got to train with Zach Makovsky and a bunch of other guys. It was just a great trip overall, but it was really funny because there was a couple of guys that I rolled with that we were rolling, and all of a sudden they'd sub me 3 times in a 6-minute round, and we'd still have 2 or 3 minutes left, and you see them pull their foot off the gas a little bit, and I was like, no, you're a really good comp guy that I'm training with, and you're gonna not just fuck me up repeatedly because you've kind of already subbed me 3 times in 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than when you feel somebody let up because they're like, oh, I feel bad.
Wouldn't let me work. I was still it was competitive.
Yeah.
After they took the gas
As
off.
competitive as they want it to be.
And then you watch, because I realized I was one of the guys that we cover on the show. And it was just really funny. Oh yeah, there's really levels to this. I'm a casual competitor, and these guys are broadcast level competitors that we cover. So that was a really cool experience. Really great guys. We wanted to really quick talk about that. Give those guys a shout out. It was a great experience overall. It was also about another 100 miles further than I thought it was.
Oh, really? How long did it take you to get there?
It took me about 2.5 hours. About 2.5, 3 hours to get there.
Okay.
I thought it was 100 miles. It was 150 miles.
Okay.
And then I left the gym. I was like, I had to be 10 o'clock. I'll leave the gym. I looked at my watch. It was 11:15, and I went, cool. I have a 2.5 hour drive home. And so I got home. But it was just a great experience overall. So
That's
shout out to those
awesome.
guys for being super hospitable. And it's always great to cover those guys. A bunch of those guys were actually on KASAI, so it was really cool.
Awesome.
So let's move into the breakdown of that event. So on to our recap of KASAI Pro 4. This event took place on November 10th in New York, New York. Ryan, where to start with this? You want to start with the super fights, the main card, the undercard? What do you think?
Let's start with the super fights.
All right, let's start with super fights. So there was initially supposed to be 3 super fights on this card. We'll talk about Gordon Ryan at the end of this whole thing and what happened with that. But I want to start with the Lutez super fight or the Canuto super fight.
Lutes.
All right, so Lutez was against Jeremiah Vance here, and he was originally going to be against PJ Barch, but PJ Barch had to pull out. I think he got injured during the trial, so Jeremiah stepped up on super late notice to fight Mateus Lutz. Good luck with that, sir.
Yeah, very good luck. I don't know what kind of shape Vance was in, but you have to be in the best shape. I feel like Lutes is somebody that you have to prepare for. He's
Dude,
just
he
a
is-
boulder.
Dude, we saw him at SAGC a couple weeks ago versus Andrew Cockle, and the dude is ripped. B, super high-level jiu-jitsu grappler, 3rd at Worlds last year in Brown is when I think I saw. Just an amazing grappler, huge accolades, out of a line, Dude is so good.
Amazing movement for how big he is and how strong he is. Usually when you get those guys, they're more of like hunker down, grab kind of guys, but he moves really
Dude,
well.
he's super explosive, and he
Yeah.
his passing is really, really good. That's one thing that usually trips up a lot of 10th Planet guys is getting around their legs. Lutez got around Vance's guard, he just walked around. And that's how we've seen Lutez pass before. He just sort of grabs the legs and just like walks around and just can beat you. He beats you with his feet at like that long-range passing game. It's super interesting to look at because usually you don't see big guys pass this way.
Yeah.
Usually not fast enough to do that. And he was able to do that. And we see him passing and moving through the positions, moving through the sequences. And is there anything particular you want to talk about this? Or you want to go into the sub on this one?
One thing that was cool, just the initial pass. It's just, you got to be ready for something like that. You saw Vance trying to get his knees back to his chest because Lutz got around to like a north-south position, and just like pitbulled his way into digging his head to his chest and getting hunkering down
really
to that
heavy
north-south.
pressure.
Just like throwing shit out of the way and just slamming down and like just it's too difficult to get past. I have to imagine it's like pushing a rock uphill.
That's reasonable. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So, but he goes. Lutez gets into like a north-south a couple times, but eventually he locks it in, and he just drops his chest onto Jeremiah's face so quickly that that Vance just taps, and you're like, whoa, this is a different kind of north-south choke. This is the kind of north-south choke you see guys do where you feel like your head is going to explode.
Yeah.
Where you feel a guy grab your neck and you're like, okay, it's a north-south choke. These take a couple seconds, and then the guy like starts to squeeze, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Like this dude will remove my head from my body if I let him. I've got to tap.
I saw from the angle where I couldn't see his head or his neck. I'm sure it was choking, but it could have easily just been crushing his jaw or his face, him squeezing so hard, or even smothering his mouth with Luta's chest in that situation because his head was up a little bit. Usually I see people like duck down and hide the head.
Yeah, they bury the head and they put the top of the shoulder into the neck, almost like Von Flue style, and they're crushing with like the shoulder and the bicep and the back and the neck. Lutez dropped into this so quickly and just squeezed and finished. And it was just, you usually see a lot more adjustment on the north-south, except for high-level guys. For some reason on high-level guys, you see them go from like the north-south, like probably like 6 or 8 inches above the person's body, and they'll just drop straight down, almost like a sprawl, immediately into the choke.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw here.
Yeah. And I feel like it's I've always had trouble working it in, but I know some people can just hit it. And when it's in, it's in. I mean, you got your lats involved and like your shoulders dropping down, your chest is on their chest. It's just, if it's in, that sucks.
Ryan, I think why it's so hard for guys like us is because we are 135 to 145.
Yeah.
And are not built like Mateus Lutz.
Yeah.
We are built like lanky nerds that we are.
Yeah.
Which is
it's
why
true.
we were doing a podcast and not on KASAI Pro 4.
It's a good call.
So that was a really fun match. Go back and watch it. One of the few subs on the card. There was not a lot of submissions on this card. Again, it was a really good card, but this is one of the few matches that actually had a sub. Next super fight, we had the rematch between Renato Canuto and Wagner Hosha.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Still, a lot of hand fighting like we thought, and a lot of scrambles.
And we clarified a rule that indeed Wagner Hosha can't do what he did to Marcin Held's hand.
Oh,
that it was apparently illegal, and they just kind of let it go at the time. But this time, the ref was like, Canuto, I think, was a little more vocal with the ref and kind of knew it was coming. And the ref was like, hey, you can't do that hand thing you were doing last time.
Yeah, you can't just bend them grab hold of their hands.
You can't just bend the fingers like that.
Yeah.
And Wagner was like, okay.
Yeah.
But that's why I love Wagner. Wagner will push. That dude pushes a rule set every single time we see him compete. We're just like what the ref going to call me on? What are they going to call me on?
Yeah, now that I've seen him enough, it's like he's just like, look, I roll this way. It's up to the ref to tell me I have to stop.
But that's exactly what, as a high level, as any competitor, that's what you should do.
Yeah.
You like play your rule set. Like, are you going to have a ref that plays you really loose, plays you really tight? Like, what are we doing? Can I get away from just pushing this guy's face? Or like, is the ref going to call me for that? And Wagner will very quickly figure out what the ref's going to call him on, and then he'll be as aggressive as the ref will allow him to be.
Yep. And I felt like he could have won, but towards the end, or right at the end, I don't know if he would have had enough time to settle. I feel like he would have, but he put in a body triangle instead of the hooks, and because of the IBJJF rules, which I think in this case was really dumb, he didn't get any points.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
It's interesting. Look, everyone goes to that body triangle now.
Yeah.
And I think everyone does it because nowadays it gives you more control. Like, everyone is so used. We saw this happen probably. We really saw it happen, I think, like within the last 2 years, guys like playing super heavy on that body triangle because we used to see it. We see guys play body triangle occasionally, but guys would play the hooks. Nowadays, because of the EBI rules and like the reliance on that, dudes lock in that body triangle immediately.
Yeah, and this is why I say it's dumb.
Which you don't get points for anymore.
Yeah.
You never get points for it. You have to get hooks.
Yeah.
And so guys will opt for hooks and then go to the body triangle for control. But in reality, no one wants the hooks.
Right. And why? And it's not like it's a bad position, obviously. I just don't like when there's a rule that makes you change your back control and then puts the other person almost in an advantage. It's like in order for him to score, he knew he had to get hooks in rather than do the body triangle. But in an event that we're all willing to see, we would have saw like a cool victory, or possibly he would have, if he had a little bit more time, maybe he would have been able to like work in the rear naked choke or something. But it's still, or cover, like smother his mouth like he likes to do. It's just, I think it's dumb that you have a rule where you have now the competitor has to think, oh, I got to take off this body triangle, put my hooks in instead of submitting. So it kind of takes away from the event a little bit for me.
You don't like points, Ryan?
No, not watching it. I don't mind competing in it, obviously, because it still feels like a game. To the people competing, it probably feels awesome.
Don't bang the table.
Sorry, like everybody in here, it probably everybody competing. I bet you their victory feels like any other victory. But as a person watching it, like you said, there weren't that many subs.
You want to see hot subs?
Yeah,
from all positions.
Yeah, shit gets boring.
Yeah, so it was good though. But I like this match. It was really cool to see the rematch, to see the difference of game planning going in. We see Canuto take it via points, really close, 3-0 after 10 minutes. Good super fight. Again, I like watching these two guys compete. It's a really, everyone says like, oh, jiu-jitsu's like chess. This was really a chess match.
Yeah.
You saw a lot of like feeling out. You saw like, I'm going to try this, and like Wagner and Canuto were willing to modulate their game plans enough, so it didn't get super stally, but it was definitely a more slow-paced, tactical match in this one.
It's like chess if you're allowed to punch each other.
Pretty much. That's pretty much every time we play against Wagner. So anything else? Want to move on to the main card?
Yeah, let's move to the main card.
Awesome, let's move on to the main card. So moving to the main card, the first match, so the way that KASAI runs this is very similar to the way Podia runs this and a bunch of other organizations where you have an A group and a B group. I'm actually going to leave that in. That was Josh Weinstock, host of the show, co-host of the show, calling just to bother our recording. So the way that KASAI runs is there's two groups, and you basically do a round robin in Group A and a round robin in Group B. So you go against everyone in the first group. So there's an 8-man bracket. The 4 guys are in one bracket, and the 4 other guys are in the other bracket. They go against each other, and you get various amounts. If you sub the guy, you get 3 points. If you get a victory on points, you get 2 points. And if you draw, you get 1 point apiece. So that's how this ran. So in the first match, we had Gio Martinez versus Bruno Frazada.
And this was a pretty fun match. Gio eventually caught Bruno in a toe hold and just started gator rolling. And Bruno Frazado actually got his knee hurt when he stood up. He was wobbling a little bit. I didn't know how bad it was until we found out that he wasn't going to be able to finish.
Yeah, I was really surprised about that. I mean, it was deep, but it was he looked like he was rolling out and going to like escape it. And he wins the match on points. He won 3-2, beating Gio. But then he couldn't continue, which is always really weird in bracket format like this, because it's like, okay, you've got to sub another guy in from another match, and it's just always a little funny when you have to do that, when you have an injured guy, especially in your first match. It's like, ooh, it kind of messes with your bracketing a little bit.
Yeah, and the toes weren't like going towards the butt or anything towards the toe hold either. It's just that I felt like Gio was spinning faster than Bruno was, and there's something in the torque had to happen.
We saw one of these toe holds kind of like this at Fight to Win with the Jake Watson match. It was like really extended toe hold, but it still was able to turn the angle enough and get the tap.
Yeah, it depends on the pressure of where it has, because I've had somebody toe hold me, and I just like felt somebody grab my feet. I'm like, oh, I just got to move, and like I felt a little click in my knee, and I was like, and tap right away. So I wasn't expecting that to happen. Yeah, I always saw Baral.
Hamlo Bahal.
Thank you. That I saw his foot break, so I'm thinking, toe holds are usually attacking the foot. There was another really good toe hold here where Paulo Miao had his foot like completely bent, but of course they don't tap to anything. None of the Miao brothers did.
Dude, I've seen them get their feet ripped apart and they like limp off the mat, and they're like, "Oh, we're fine."
Yeah.
You're like, bro, you have ligaments. You're not fine.
Yeah.
So this was like a toe hold that was attacking a knee as opposed to like the foot itself.
Yeah.
Because I've had my ligaments, I've had my the top of my foot strained or like sprained in a toe hold before.
Yeah.
And it
just
kind of
bends all
sucks.
kinds of shit. Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
Everything's
Depending on
bending
where
there.
you bend it, it's gonna attack like one of 8 various
and
ligaments.
where your point of control is. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, and how you turn it in. It's really dynamic submission, but it attacks a variety of things, and it looks like Frazada got injured and somehow by this and is unable to move on, but he does Gio gets the victory in this. 3-2.
Yeah.
So under the next match, we had Paulo Miao versus Frank Rosenthal, and he defeats Frank via points, 10-1. These are interesting. They're only 6-minute matches, which I kind of like. We've talked about it. Emil's talked about it a lot. He likes the shorter format for the matches. For these, I don't know if 6 minutes was quite long enough to work. The match pacing felt really good, but we didn't have a single submission in this entire bracket, in this entire event. And so I don't know if 6 minutes is long enough to work at that point. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I don't know how that works either. I don't know if I would add time, because 10 minutes is definitely too long. You have
especially
people,
for round robin. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. When you're sitting there and it's so much thinking, then it becomes really, really like chess. And really, what I think we want to see is just people kind of really going at it.
2-minute matches.
Yeah.
First takedown wins.
It also
That's
depends.
wrestling.
It also depends. Yeah. It also depends on who's fighting who. Passing versus guard players, if they attack legs or whatever they're going for. Some of these matchups, maybe they just canceled each other out. You have somebody like Taquinho, who's just extremely sturdy. And I don't know. It just, I guess, depends on who's fighting who. I don't know what I do at the time. I guess you could increase it to 7 minutes. I still keep going back to Quintet, where I think they figured out a decent rule set that makes people subs. Yeah.
It was really interesting.
Yep.
So, that match happens. On to the next match, we had Gianni Grippo beating Ethan Krellenstein, not Stein. God damn.
I always say that with him.
Well, he's got no I in the end of his name, so it's Krellenstein.
I wrote it down as Krellenstein over and over, and then I watched a match like the next day that I missed of his, and then I had to go back and like change all my notes. That's Krellenstein.
Yeah, it's Krellenstein, not Krellenstein.
Yeah.
So Gianni defeats him 9-6. Sorry, 9-2.
Yes, 9-2. I always favored Grippo actually in this, just because he's so good at points, and I think he can almost beat anybody on points.
He has beaten almost everyone recently. Dude, he beat Shane, Jamil Hill Taylor, who's the current world champion, like a couple times last year, and like he just beat Miao. Like that dude is really, really good, and he's at the top. Like he is always in contention at the Worlds. Like I would not be surprised to see him grab a world title here in the next couple years.
Yeah, I agree.
He's got a great points game, but again, we're seeing Krellenstein coming off of ADCC like last weekend, the trials. So he looked amazing in the trials. Literally won that huge bracket in the trials. So this was a really fun matchup. But Gianni is just that good.
Yeah, and I was impressed because if you watch, I'm gonna call him Ethan.
Let's do that.
Effing up his last name.
Ethan.
That's weird. But he had a really good guard. I mean, his guard is awesome. Throwing in the attacks, I think, makes it really hard to pass. So it was pretty impressive. Even if it was points, even if you want to see a sub, still impressive to watch Grippo get 9 points against Ethan, just because his guard is so good.
Oh yeah, and both these guys are super good. So it's exciting to see like a guy that's on the ADCC level versus like a top level IBJJF guy. So that was fun to see.
Yep.
Next match we had Augusto Taquinho Mendez versus Kim Terra. Kim Terra was a late replacement. I forget who he replaced, but he was a pretty late replacement coming in here on short notice.
I'm trying to remember too, and I can't. I thought Kim Terra the entire time was just a little too chill. He never got subbed. I don't think he ever got tooled. It never looked like he was getting destroyed. But at the same time, I felt like he should have picked up the pace.
Whenever we see Kim Terra compete, it's always he's got a much, much slower kind of. That is really his pace. Like he looked super calm in every submission attempt that he was caught in for really anything. He was versus Gianni later in this bracket, and he just looked super calm versus Ethan, super calm. Like the entire time, he never looked like he was in danger. He was just kind of going through the motions and just like defending subs or just passing. Just like that was his MO for this entire tournament.
Yeah, and I think it costs him the matches in each case, in each round, just because he's just a little too calm. And even when he was down, he wasn't even trying that hard. And maybe that's where
I think he was probably trying hard. He just like we didn't see him actively pushing the pace and the action.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe he's pushing hard, but it's just not a change of speed, so it doesn't seem as hard because
from a viewing perspective.
It's a lot different than when we see like Luda's passing. Like I saw him try to pass, but then when he was almost there and Vance started fighting, then you saw him pick it up like 3 notches. And
you see him like kick into that next gear. You're like, God, and he's getting that pass. Versus in the Terra matches, he just seemed a little more like he was going to try to pass consistently using these techniques at this speed and this pace, and he wasn't really going to modulate his speed. And it's really a game plan, a game thing we see from Kim Terra. We've seen him on Fight to Win and a bunch of other stuff. And that's usually what we see him do.
Yeah, I'm sure he's really good at like waiting people for make mistakes. But when you have this ADCC type bracket with all this talent, you can't just wait for somebody to make a mistake. I feel like you just have to attack.
Because no one's going to make a mistake.
Nobody's going to make not a big enough one for you to capitalize on.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's really the thing with this card. This card had so many high level guys. When guys would wait for someone to make a mistake, it just wouldn't happen because at this level, guys don't really make mistakes.
Yeah, and I think that's why they're also so afraid to maybe go for subs if they're not sure, because that could be overextending yourself, and that could be the mistake that either gets you sub or
That's how
pass.
guys play points at a high level.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
So I think this is really a good analog. This whole tournament for like this is what high level points looks like. So let's move on to the second round. First match of the second round. That was super confusing. We have Frank Rosenthal defeating Bruno Frizzata. So not proceeding. He has a bye basically.
Right.
Because Bruno is out at this point in the second round, so Frank gets to kind of just continue.
And that's an interesting case when somebody gets hurt here in terms of the rule set, because now that he's hurt, Frank just gets 2 points, and that's a big deal, I think, in a tournament.
Oh yeah, that's a huge deal. Yeah, because that completely changes the kind of the seeding in this. It's like, okay, you didn't have a match. It was again, there's sort of matches, so guys have the gas tank to do that, but you get your 2 points, and it's you get to move on.
Yep. Especially when it's at the very beginning, because then it's 2 matches, and now you have 2 people who got a free 2 points. And one of them was Meow, and you can't just hand him 2 points. He's already going to be doing well.
You can't hand him a point.
Yeah.
So really any of these guys. So next match we had Paulo Meow versus Gio Martinez. We've seen this match before, and it looked a lot like what we've seen in the past. It's Paulo just is that little bit better at the points. Gio's really aggressive, but isn't really going to make huge mistakes, and Paulo's just able to get the 2 points. I think did he get a sweep?
I actually, where the hell? I don't know. I can't read my notes fast enough. But what I know was what I wrote was like passing versus leg locks. And what I realized is that Paulo Meow got really good at passing, and he's been focusing on it a lot. That's been actually really fun to watch, because usually they're known for just extensive, really intense barambolos.
The end of 2016 and not 2017, and then all of 2018, like that's been a big thing that they're doing. They're passing now, and it's like, oh shit, he can barambolo you in gi or in no-gi. And he almost did it here. He almost got his back at a certain point, but Gio was just savvy enough to not get his back taken. But they can pass now too. So they have both. It's like, okay, cool. I'm on the bottom. I'm going to barambola your ass. Or I'm on the top. I'm going to knee slide through your face and get past.
And I think it was a sweep. I can't remember where. But I do remember too that Meow had a little bit too much pressure, where Gio started to pull his leg over the shoulder. Ended in an omoplata, but it was right at the end. So Gio didn't get any points. And I wonder how that would have gone with an extra 30 seconds. We'll never know.
7-minute matches.
Yeah.
So next match we had Augusto Taquino Mendez versus Ethan.
This is where I was really impressed with Kraliston's guard, is because he was dealing with the pressure of Taquino, and he only won 2-0, Taquino winning, but they're just really impressive to watch him recover, attack the legs, recover over and over again.
Yeah, it was like just a regard. It was just a clinic on like, hey, here's how to not get past. But gives up 2 points, and Taquino moves on. So into the third match of round 2, we have Gianni Grippo defeating Kim Terra via score. Again, this is really reminiscent of what we saw at the initial Kim Terra match.
Yeah, and really funny to watch. Did you see the wrist lock in the very beginning? He had him in like Grippo had Kim Terra in close guard, and he just had that no-gi where you just have to like grab the wrist and start bending it back, and Kim Terra starts looking at him and laughing, and then Grippo eventually looks up and sees his face, and then he starts laughing too. Eventually lets go of the wrist lock.
He's like, I'm going to try this, and then Kim Terra's like, we're black belts, dog.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to... I'm going to die. We're black belts at, like, not 200 or 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have to break my wrist, explode. You're going to have to Wagner Hosha my wrist here.
Yeah.
Like, you're not just going to, like, push my wrist down in the guard and make me tap.
And Grippo's so good. This is one of the matches where actually with him against Kralestein is where he's better at dealing with the 50-50. I always thought he was going to get his back taken, but all he would do is put his hand and control the hip, sit up a little bit, like and not let somebody turn the corner. And he just beats everybody on points and was stabilizing the whole time.
That 50-50 transition was really interesting because that's something that I've picked up on, because we see a lot of guys, we see it way less than we used to see it. Guys like just stalling in 50-50.
Yeah.
Like it seems like guys don't enter 50-50 unless they are ready to go. And we're seeing guys getting much better at neutralizing 50-50 and being able to like disengage from it and stop all of the stuff off that. So it's become, this what was historically like a dangerous position, then it became a super stally position, and now it's a position like guys actively avoid unless they're willing to like engage, and then they both get out.
Yeah, and this was also one of the first times I saw, I think, Grippo and Tara stand in 50-50. One of the most awkward things I can see in grappling is two people in 50-50 hopping around, holding each other's hips. It's just one of the funniest cartoonish looking things.
It's like this is high level jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, this is it.
So you got anything else on these second round matches?
No.
Awesome. So moving on to the third round matchup, we have Frank Rosenthal versus Gio Martinez.
This was very controversial. Controversial? Yeah, whatever.
Controversial?
Whatever.
Now I can't say it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan.
Whatever it is, it's that. Because
dude, even the commentary staff was kind of confused about what was going on here.
Everybody was confused, and I couldn't see the ref in the video, so I couldn't see him doing the motions of who should get points. That's why it was hard to tell, because we were just going off what we could hear.
And in the commentary was really good. It was Josh Palmer and Kenny Florin. They did a really, really good job, and they actually called out in this match that they knew that the broadcast couldn't see the side referees. I like that they use 3 referees. They have a center referee and they have 2 side referees, and they called out that the cameras can't see the 2 side referees, so the people watching on the broadcast can't necessarily see what the side referees are awarding points or not awarding points or penalties or no penalties. And it got really confusing here as a viewer, because I'm listening to the referees, to the commentators talk about it, doing a really good job, but at the end it was even. And there was like, okay, did he get awarded a penalty, or did he get an advantage, or who got a penalty? And then eventually it figured out, okay, that looks like Frank Rosenthal didn't get a penalty, and Gio ended up getting a penalty, so it was 1-0 Frank, and Frank got the victory.
Yeah.
Close match,
thought they both got a stalling call, but then it was corrected to just say that Gio actually was the only one, which was weird because he was passing, and I thought he was still trying. I mean, when you're playing
it was definitely a controversial match.
Yeah, it was controversial. That was a little bit weird, but unfortunately, Gio loses, and of course, his brother Richie Martinez was freaking out in the background.
He usually does.
Yeah, he does.
But you usually don't see guys get called for stalling on the top. It's really rare to see a guy in a top position.
Yeah, unless they're backing away, I could understand. Like Craig Jones versus
the
Behemoth. Yeah. Paul
the
Harris,
Behemoth.
when he just kept backing up. Like, that's stalling. That's definitely stalling, and you're just running away, entering the guard, running away. But he was actively trying to pass, in my opinion, the whole time. Yeah. Maybe just not aggressive enough.
But again, I like that KASAI has the stalling penalties, though, because even though these matches didn't result in submission, a lot of them did end in, like, we didn't see guys just, like, sitting in the half guard.
Right.
And, like, sitting in top position, or, like, sitting in the guard. We saw guys, it was 6 minutes. They actively went for it the entire time, because KASAI does have really good, I like the 3 referee format, and I like that they're pretty active with their stalling penalties. So that was nice. It does facilitate action.
Yep. That's why I think it's about the rule set, because the refs can only do so much. Like, I remember when we were talking about Quintet, I was saying that maybe the ref was a little bit antsy and moving people around, but it really keeps the event going. It's really up to the competitors to do that, and I think that's why you have to display rules to make sure they're moving around and trying to get the sub and forcing, because the refs can only push so much.
Right.
I'm sure the refs are sitting there like, hey, guys, come on. You're at a professional event. Let's get things moving.
Yeah. Good, though.
Be fun.
Be fun. Do jiu-jitsu faster.
Yeah.
Not even better, because, like, goddamn, the level here was outstanding, but do jiu-jitsu faster.
Yeah.
So, next match we had Ethan versus Kim Tara. We got to get the name. It's Krellenston. Ethan Krellenston versus Kim Tara.
Yeah, he won on points by attacking. I think it was 2 heel hooks he got, close enough.
And
they
give you points for close submissions,
right?
Which I like, the Naga rules, basically,
right?
Which everyone hates on Naga, but like I like the Naga. Like, look, it was close. Like, I'll give you a point for it.
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean,
because it makes.
Then there'd be too many draws, I think, if you didn't do that.
But I like that it makes attacking a sub like worth something, and it doesn't have to be like certain organizations. You have to basically have the sub, and the guy just doesn't tap to get a point. Kasai, you can go for a legit sub attempt and they'll give you the points for it.
Yeah,
I
that's I guess
like
the
that.
incentive to keep moving and sub. That's a good rule. I do like that rule.
Yeah, but they don't make you like live and die on the sub. It's like, you go for a legitimate sub attempt. It might not have been like elbow deep, extended all the way out, but it's like if you're going for it and the guy has to defend it, you get a point for it.
Yep.
So I think that's their criteria. I don't know exactly what their criteria was because I wasn't able to make it up to the rules meeting, which I wanted to go to up in New York. But I think it's basically a sub that requires defense. Kind of really similar to Fight to Win's rule set. Is like if the guy has to start defending the sub, it counts as a legitimate sub attempt, and then it awards you like, in Fight to Win, it awards you, closer to a decision. In Kasai, it awards you like a point.
Right.
Which I think is a really good way to do it.
Yep. One heel hook seemed not as close as the second one. Tara had to roll out of obviously had to roll out of both, but the second one looked a little bit more antsy, so it looked closer.
Yeah.
Ethan's just so good at those leg attacks and entries.
And
stuff.
I love the hand position that Ethan uses to attack these heel hooks. That really high, like hands on chest position, where he doesn't have his hands like gable gripped. He has like elbow to elbow gripped and like turns his whole chest over. We see a lot of the DDS guys finish like that.
Yeah.
And I think it gives them a ton more like power to push through the knee and go through the joint.
That's actually something I took a chance to start noting and realizing now that I've been watching a little bit more grappling events, realizing how important it is to grab the heel at certain ways. Something I bet Eddie Cummings could probably have a video on where he just shows, because he taps people so quick in heel hooks.
Yeah.
Nobody seems to get out. And I have to imagine it's half legs and half hand position where he's just switching to the perfect grip at the perfect time to create enough pressure to keep the torque going.
Yeah, really interesting, but it was cool again to see that, like, those sub attempts there. So on to the final match of round 3, we had Gianni Grippo versus Augusto Taquino Mendez. And this match went to a draw. It's the first draw of the evening.
Yep.
And you were kind of confused, again, rightfully so, with like, okay, in our results here, it's listed as like ref, which is like, okay, is it a decision? No, it's just a draw. So both guys get, I want to say 1 point and then move on, or is it 0 points? I always forget how they do it because different organizations that do this round robin format do it differently. Usually a submission's worth 3, a win on points is worth 2, and then a draw, each person gets 1 point. Or each person gets 0 points. It all depends on the organization. I forget exactly what Kasai does for this.
Me too.
But it doesn't really matter because Gianni Grippo moves on to the finals versus Paulo Miao. And the third place match is Augusto Mendez versus Frank Rosenthal, which we're going to talk about first.
Let's talk about the final with Grippo and Miao.
The rematch of
the
rematches that we've seen them repeatedly do this over and over again.
Yeah.
These guys go against each other like not infrequently at major events.
Yeah, another controversial ending as well. I think I said it right that time.
You said it kind of funny, but like I'll give it to you.
Okay. Everybody knows what I'm saying, I hope. But yeah, there was a sweep at the end that Grippo got. He got sweep points, which gave him got him up to 3 versus 2. So that was the thing that made him win. It was right at the end. It was a weird 50-50 position, and then Miao kind of rolled out onto his knees. They were right on the edge of the mat, and then Grippo got 2 and eventually won.
So that's that. Grippo is now your champion for the 145-pound bracket for Kasai. And on the third place match, we had Augusto Mendez versus Frank Rosenthal, and smashes him on points.
Smashes him on points. Yep, there's levels to this shit. That's what I realized.
Yeah, but Frank Rosenthal's a new black belt, and they talked about it in the broadcast that Taquino's been, I think, training for 21 years.
Yeah.
And he's been a black belt for some ridiculous amount of time. I think on the broadcast they made a joke that he's had a black belt for 40 years.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, he didn't dominate as much as I thought he would win a few more matches. I thought Taquino would do better, but he's really sturdy and hard to move and hard to do things to, but he had trouble passing a lot of guards. He did well against Rosenthal, but that's why I was so impressed.
We
with
saw that in the Grippo match.
It
was he was in the guard for a long time versus Grippo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and when he was doing that, he had like this weird head and arm position that he seemed to keep trying to pass. And even when he was in the guard, he would dive for that head and arm. And then I don't know where his hips were going to go from there because he seemed stuck. But he's a lot better than me, so I'm sure he knows something that I don't.
I'm sure he's going to do something there.
Yeah.
So that's KASAI Pro. Let's move on back to the undercard, unless you got anything else you want to talk about for the main card matches.
No, that's it.
Actually, let's talk about before we get to the undercard match, let's talk about the third super fight. It did not happen.
Yes.
The Gordon Ryan super fight.
Gordon Ryan posted about the fact that he was born with hepatitis C, and that when he got diagnosed, I think by 12, he eventually doesn't have it anymore, but he needed some blood work, according to NYSAC.
New York State Athletic Commission.
Yeah, thank you.
But I didn't know that the athletic commissions actually require blood work. This is the first I've ever heard of an athletic commission requiring blood work for a pro event for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
I was
especially
unaware that I know for like MMA and for kickboxing, for combat sports, and like for striking sports they require it, but I've never heard of a commission requiring it for a grappling event.
Yeah, and I wrote it off until I remembered that he faced Yuri in New York 1 year ago. So the athletic commission must have not either pushed or been involved with that process because he never had to give blood work there. And
Or
now
he
all
had
of a sudden
or he
did.
had a test, or like I don't know. It was the whole thing was a little weird, and it was a little. It again sucks to not see Ryan compete, but it's also interesting because I didn't know that any athletic commission actually required HRV blood work, Hep C blood work,
Yep.
and Ryan was like, I need it in 2 weeks. He goes, they need something within the last 2 weeks that says I'm not like positive for it, and I can't produce that, so I can't be on the event.
Yeah,
which
it
sucked.
really sucked because that was obviously everybody's always excited to see Gordon Ryan compete, but I really wanted to see him against Denise,
Yeah,
whatever.
I can't say the man's name.
Yeah, it's okay.
Mateus.
Mateus. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Mateus. Sucks for Mateus too because I heard that he agreed to still do it, but the athletic commission was no go. They wouldn't let him
it's
do
also
it.
like grappling. It's like I'm not gonna catch it via grappling. Like he's not gonna.
Yeah.
It's not. You can't.
Just mount him and spit in his mouth.
Does
that even do it?
No,
No.
It's not how it's transmitted.
What if you bite your own tongue?
Maybe
Spit blood in his face. I don't know.
Jesus. I only spent about half of my adult life working in disease research, but
Okay.
it's not communicable in that way.
Okay.
Like you need it's literally a bloodborne pathogen. So it sucks to see him not be able to compete, especially in grappling.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and hopefully that NSAC gets their shit together with notification.
Yeah, really. It definitely needed more time, and I don't know. I wonder what stage they got involved. Were they involved the whole time? I don't know. I don't know who dropped the ball, but it sucked.
Yeah. So moving on to the undercard matches. Where do you want to start with this one? From the top to the bottom to the top, or just we'll go through select matches.
All right, let's go through Guresi versus Halaby. I want to say that's right, so if I effed up your name, I apologize. This one was cool. Saw a triangle. Guresi wins via triangle with Halaby had his hand stuck in there, and that was one of the ones where you think like maybe they're going to push
triangle?
through. Yeah, but it's just like it's so tight, just jammed his hand right into his throat and finished right through. So that was cool.
It was really cool. It was a really cool finishing sequence. Again, you try to get your hand in there, and if you don't get enough in there, it doesn't really matter. And that was, it just didn't matter. He's able to finish it regardless.
And really, it seems to work against you because your hands can get involved a little bit with triangle defense, but if it's locked in there against your own neck, then obviously if it's not pressuring away, it's just pulling into you. It's just another thing that's closing off your arteries.
It's more stuff in the way that pushes into your neck, but your neck meat.
And then you can just like sit down and flail your feet or something, but there's not at that point. Really, there's nothing to do.
Yeah, it was a really cool sub. Next match I want to talk about the Junior Casio match versus the Ray De Leon match. These two dudes went against each other last weekend at the trials.
Which match is this?
The Junior Casio versus Ray De Leon.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think it's really cool to see that you see our guys basically go against each other week to week. And then these guys have met each other before as well. So this is the rubber match. This is the third match. And Junior Casio, once again, able to get it done. Really great passing, really great control from the top positions here, cutting through. He was able to do and move around Ray De Leon. And Ray is fucking tough. Yeah. I grappled with him this last week, and he beat the shit out of me. In the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
And then so it's really cool to see like a dude of that level, like just like God, he just moved me where he wanted to move me, and he's like a really similar size to me. Go against a guy like Casio, and then Casio move him around. It was just like it was a really really nice match to see, and it was cool to see guys make game planning adjustments week to week, and then Casio able to get it done.
Yeah, dominating by points, 11-0.
11-0 on points. Really really fun matchup. Go back and watch that one. So the last match on this card I want to talk about is Mateus Anderson versus John Potts. John Potts comes out in a wrestling singlet and is moving around a lot and is doing that foot plant thing where you kind of like tap your feet forward, like you're going to take a really explosive shot.
Yeah.
And Mateus goes, nope, and sits guard.
Sits guard. Yep. Yeah, they do a little bit of hand fighting, a little bit of collar ties.
This is the fastest submission on the card, by the way. Yeah. 1 minute 8 seconds.
And then Anderson eventually sits down. They go to reverse De La Riva for like a second, and then it goes into a closed guard. And as quick as he got in a closed guard, he snags the armbar.
I love this armbar, this whole series for the armbar. He basically grabs like a high guard first, where you have your calf on the top of their shoulder, and then as the opponent tries to pull out, you stack them back down and then switch that high guard leg over over the face, and you get that just beautiful armbar from the guard. Gets it really quick finish, extends it aggressively, and gets the tap in 1 minute and 8 seconds. This is the fastest submission on the card. I don't know if KASAI pays fastest submission.
I don't know.
I know
either.
a lot of other organizations pay fastest submission, but I hope he got paid for that because it's always exciting to see guys just like, oh, sweet, I get money for this? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know On It pays that, and I know I think EBI pays. I don't know. And a couple organizations will pay for fastest submission, so that's always cool. Yep. So all in all, a really good event. The whole thing's up on Flow Grappling. Go back and watch it. There's a lot of really, really fun matchups. The whole 145 bracket is absolutely awesome, and you should go back and watch it. It's really high level jiu-jitsu, and as we get closer into ADCC and No-Gi Worlds, you start to see like we're in No-Gi season. And so we're seeing guys hone their No-Gi games in preparation for these other big tournaments. So it's really cool. I think we'll definitely see some of these matchups again. Yep. Anything that you want to add, Ryan?
For Flow Grappling, you have to go to results. I don't know if they're up on videos.
They're up on videos now.
Okay. Yep. I always click videos and it's not there, and then I go to results and I see they're highlighted. And I'm like, what the hell?
For this event, it's kind of weird because they have the videos and they have a bunch of like preparatory videos, like pre-videos, pre-production videos, and they're all mixed in with all the result videos, which is kind of annoying.
Hate that.
Because it's just like a lot of those have more. They sort it by views by default, and so but they don't have a view count on any of the videos. So you have a bunch of stuff that's been up for like 2 months and something like that. It has a bunch of views because it's been up for so long. Versus you're trying to find match videos which are brand new and just up, and they're all at the bottom. So you have to load a bunch of videos and then go through and find it at the bottom. But if you go through results, you can click right to the results and the matches from there. But the videos are up in the standard video section for the event as well.
Okay.
So that's where to find him. That's where to go watch him. Anything else, Ryan?
That's all.
All right. So on to our recap of Fight to Win 93 in Scottsdale, Arizona. This event paid at a total of $32,914 in salaries and commissions, and was headlined by Osvaldo Casino Mozeño, defeating Josh Rodriguez via omoplata to become the black belt Masters featherweight champion for Fight to Win. That is a mouthful.
That sure is.
So where do you want to start here? You want to start at the black belts, or you want to start down at the beginning?
Yeah, let's start the black belts.
All right, let's start the black belt. So, Casino, basically what everyone thought, gets Timo Plata in this one. You were talking about the resets here. Before we were recording, you were talking about resets.
Yep.
This one got reset. They were about to fall off the stage, and then Casino, they kind of pull him back, not quite to the center with Timo Plata, and then very shortly after that, like a couple of seconds, he's able to finish Timo Plata, and it was almost a weird reset because you're not sure if the guy got to adjust a little more or not, but is able to finish it.
Yeah, you always have to assume that the person's gonna get a little bit better of a bite if they have an opportunity if you're resetting a submission.
Yeah, or the guy's gonna pull out a little bit too.
Yeah,
you see it happen on both fronts all the time. And this is something Fight to Win started a while back. Is that, and I like it a lot. You disagree a little bit sometimes. Fight to Win always, if the guys are rolling off the mat, they stop it and they drag them back to the center. And I think this is good. It's way better than trying to recreate the position.
I agree.
Which just doesn't work.
It was just funny. It wasn't even that I necessarily disagree. Just a lot of them were funny. Like there was a situation where there were two teens, and I don't think one of the kids knew how to help the ref kind of scoot with like one-legged hop over. I saw the ref grab an ankle and grab an arm and try to like drag him back, and it just looked like he was like pulling a dead body.
Yeah, it's funny. Because they'll get like two refs on there and like they'll drag guys.
Yeah.
I was at
easier with the gi.
Yeah, I was at our gym probably like a week ago or something like that, and it was two like medium heavyweights, or like probably guys that like weighed like 185 to like 210, and they were about to hit the wall, and so I was like, hey, give me a second. I tried to pull them over, and then everyone in my gym looks at me like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like you can't do that. These guys weigh probably 330 pounds.
Yeah.
Like you're not, or sorry, 290. You're not gonna be able to move them. I moved. I was like, yeah, you guys got to reset. I can't move you. This is impossible.
Yeah. Just a couple of situations where it was like, obviously it's always easier in the gi, but there's always a weird entanglement where they don't always drag together. You know, if you got on somebody's back or they're locked on the legs, sometimes you can just grab somebody's armpits and pull them back. Somebody holds on. But
I like it way better than just than trying to recreate a position. Because like I don't even like resetting in the half guard.
Yeah.
Because again, that's such a dynamic position. It's like where are his hips? Are his hips higher or lower? Or like is he flat, or is he slightly on his shoulder, or is he slightly underneath you? And you never can reset to quite exact position. Sometimes it doesn't matter, but other times it's just like just reset them.
I've seen a lot of resets change the outlook of the match.
So, where it's like, okay, that guy was actually like on his hip a little bit, and now his hip is completely flat, and it's like that passing sequence is gone now.
Yeah.
Versus like I think he was going to pass, but they just can't get that hip angle again. And so I like how Fight to Win does. I think of all the resets, I think Fight to Win probably does it the best, because if they can't recreate the position, like obviously, like if you're in the guard, like cool, then we start in the guard. If you're in like side control, then we start in side control. If you're in mount, then we start in mount. But like when it gets in these weird positions, they either drag you or they just reset it.
Yep.
And I like how they do that. I think it's something that I would like to see more organizations do. It's like, yo, stop trying to recreate the position, either drag it or just reset. There's no like recreate the position unless it's like an obvious position, like his hand is here, your foot is here, go.
Yeah, it's hard, especially when you're talking about like simple hand grips and things like that. I mean, you got to remember every little thing
It's like, okay,
about the position. Or
did he have his hand flared here? Was the grip here? It's like, was it a high collar? Was it a low collar? Is it the right grip? It's like, nope. It's like either you drag them or you just reset it.
Right.
Because it's like because a lot of times, especially at the black belt level, it matters. Like all those little teeny like inch details here and there matter, and it can completely change how a guy fights in the gi.
Yep.
So the next match we had is Cole Franson defeating Gerson Atugi. I can never say Gerson's last name. It's Atugi, I think. And this was the deservedly fight of the night for the black belts. And huge back and forth match. And Cole was able to finish a really fucking cool triangle on Gerson. Basically, where Gerson has he's in the triangle, and Gerson is really, really straight. Sorry, Cole is really, really straight on Gerson, and like doesn't have the angle, isn't looking at the ear at all, and Gerson has his arm like behind or is like blocking to not let the arm get passed across, and it doesn't matter. Cole just hips in and pulls on the head, and pinches the knee that should be locked over his own foot, but it's more so on the calf, and just pinches it in really tight, and is able to get the tap. And it was really cool because you don't see that like really straight on triangle finished a whole lot. You usually see guys have to make the angle, have to get super deep, but you could tell that it was amazingly tight even though it was straight on.
Yeah, something I've actually been practicing a lot just for myself is figuring out how to finish those triangles, because you get a bigger dude, it's almost like you're going to get passed if you don't get to lock them. But there's a lot of little things you can do like that, like pinching your legs in just to make the same thing. Like when you would cut the angle, you're trying to recreate that pressure inward.
Yeah, and so when you guys can do it without cutting the angle, I'm always super impressed by that. So, And again, this is a really exciting match back and forth. So, again, deservedly fight of the night. Next match we have Ishmat Abdulhamed versus Connor Waffle. And Ishmat, this is, again, another fun match. All the matches at the top of the card here were really entertaining. Ishmat is on the bottom, on the top. It's a really dynamic match. He's eventually able to get in the guard and get a triangle locked up on Connor and get the tap. This event had a ton of submissions on it.
Yeah, I agree. Even from teens up to purple, brown, everybody was submitting.
Yeah, they were like, oh, cool, your first time back in Arizona a little bit? We're going to go for the sub. Next match we want to talk about is John Kobe defeating Mario Gaxola via choke. This is submission of the night for the black belts, deservedly so. Really, really back and forth active match, which is, again, fun to watch. Ryan, we were watching this match a minute ago, and you were like, this is what jiu-jitsu looks like.
Yeah, that was really nice. He was attacking, him being John Kabai?
Kabe, I think.
Kabe. Yeah, he was attacking pretty much the whole time and looked good going for any subs, and finally finished with the back choke.
Yeah, with basically a bow and arrow from the back, but he sets it up really cool. He like gets on top, gets a really nice hand position on the collar, rotates around, and he kind of gets the back, he gets the hooks in, and then he's doing some really nice hand fighting as Mario's like up on all fours, and then he rolls Mario over, and he starts going for like a zipper choke grip, where you have one hand on the opposite lapel from the back, and then you start with your close side hand pulling down on the lapel to basically tighten up that grip. And then in one smooth motion, he rolls Mario over and jumps his far side leg that's not on the collar side over and just gets a really beautiful bow and arrow. And you can tell it's a submission that probably is his bread and butter submission because it's super smooth. There's so many little pieces and parts and adjustments he makes in the sub, and the camera angle is like perfect for it. You can just look down and see the submission. He also has a dope-ass white beard, which I thought was nice.
Yeah, that was really awesome actually to watch because just like you said, as soon as he was getting the grips with the hands, his leg came over the shoulder to the finishing position, rocked him down, and then it's just dead to rights at that point.
Yeah, it was a really really great. Well, I'll go back and watch again. This is deservedly submission night for the black belt. It's a beautiful sequence, smooth submission, and you can see all these again because the camera angle is perfect. You can see all these little adjustments with the lapels and with the hands and with the hip positioning for basically that allow this submission to take place. Really great submission. Next match I want to talk about is Roberto Jimenez versus Jake Watson. Roberto defeats Jake via toe hold, and that was fight of the night for the brown belts, and Roberto becomes the brown belt middleweight champion in the gi. Jake is the current champion in no-gi for that weight class, and Jake actually has the fastest submission fight to win history in 7 seconds.
7 seconds.
Which is, dude, how, like, that's a pretty, Fight has a pretty big mat. The fact that he could get to you, get underneath you, and get your foot in 7 seconds is outstanding. Again, it's rightfully why he's the champion in no-gi and why he was going for champ here for in the gi.
Yeah. Really nice. Attacking toe holds on
both fronts,
Jimenez?
both these,
Jimenez. Jimenez. Yeah, attacking the toe hold a lot and never got it. Of course, they got towards the end, and this is kind of what we're talking about with the resets. They actually Watson seemed to let go, and then they were like, "No, we're being dragged," so he slammed that toe hold back on and just held there when they got dragged.
So Watson's getting the toe hold, and then they're rolling off the mat, and the ref's like, "Oh, stop!" And Jake's like, they're like reset, and they're just like, "No, I have this toe hold. Like, you're gonna drag us. You're not gonna reset us." And they drags him, and he seems to have lost a little bit of like the angle on toe hold because you've lost the roll at that point.
Yeah,
like you said, you've changed the momentum on the submission, and it's like it's really hard, especially with like that rotation on that toe hold.
Yep.
It's really hard to go again once that's static if the other guy tries to boot the same direction you do.
Yeah, it's always different when you're doing specific drills, when you're training and you start in a position. Having somebody pass your guard and get the side control is different from starting in side control and then saying go. So in this case, same with the toe hold, same with anything in a sub.
But I do like the reset.
You
like,
have to
he
do
was
it.
deep
I mean,
enough on a toe hold where I was like, look, you can't just take this position away from this guy. And so it's like, it looked really good. Dragged him by the bell and like it restarted. You didn't have this like, man, this dude's got this deep on the leg and is in this entrance and like is going to lose this position because there's not enough mat space. They're like, nope, keep the position, pull him back in. Again, I think they have some of the best resets in jiu-jitsu. It's great, like, because you get to see guys like continue to work, which is why I think partially why this card had such a huge submission rate on it. Like there were subs left and right. I mean, all the way from like the kids and teens all the way to the black belts.
So many subs.
So it was good. But so the finishing sequence here was really nice. We see basically the guys trading toe holds back and forth, and Jake's going for a toe hold, Roberto's going for a toe hold, and eventually Jake starts to defend a toe hold that Roberto Jimenez is putting on him, and he's like rolling, and you see Jake basically lose the hand position in the grips as they roll underneath. And he's just not able to get his hands back. And he does a hover hand, which makes me always really uncomfortable with leg locks. Basically, Jake looks like he's going to push off, then he's like, I'm going to tap, then I'm going to get away. And he looks like he's caught really deep in a submission, and he like has a momentary lapse of like, I'm going to defend or I'm going to tap, and then he's forced to tap because he didn't make the choice to defend.
Yep, and if you don't push off or if you don't make the adjustment, the guy who's attacking you most likely will. And that seemed to be what happened, where Jimenez got just enough pressure to finish the toe hold.
Yeah, but it was a really active match. Again, this is a gi toe hold match through and through. There's a lot of these submissions. Toe holds are the heel hook of the gi.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically. So yeah, really good match. Deservedly fight of the night for the brown belts. And Jimenez becomes the brown belt middleweight champion.
Been on a tear.
Yeah. So let's go through the results on this one. Starting off with the black belt results, we have Oswaldo Coutinho-Mazinho defeating Josh Rodriguez via omoplata to become the black belt masters featherweight champion. We talked about that. Cole Franson defeating Gerson Atuige via triangle. That was fight of the night for the black belts. We have
Ismat Abdulhamid defeats Connor Waffle via triangle. Joe Murphy defeats Jay Pages. Barata Plata. That was cool to see a Barata Plata. That was nice. That's always fun. See something a little bit different. John Cabay defeats Mario Gaxiola. Choke.
That was submission of the night for the black belts.
Suhan Quiroz defeats Dan Radoff by choke. Carlos Farias defeats Corey Molise, split decision. Gabriel Reveredo defeats Jason Youssef, decision. Kyle Boehm.
It's Bame.
Yeah. Defeats,
we always mess it up. Yeah. It's Kyle Bame.
Bame. That's a lot of extra words, but I understand. Kyle Bame defeats Daniel Preeb. That sounds good. Heel hook. Kevin Scott defeats Wyatt Shepard. Armbar. Parker Lapp defeats Mike Berlaka, split decision. Matzilla Gillette defeats Scott Bowler, choke. Nicholas Gregorides defeats Daniel Preeb, decision.
Yeah, it's the second time we've seen Preeb. We saw Preeb fill in later in the card versus Kyle Bame. So I actually don't know if he was originally against Bame or if he was originally against Nicholas. I didn't catch on the commentary. Commentary was really good for this event.
That was really
I
good.
really enjoyed them. They were super knowledgeable. They were super engaged, entertaining, all the way from the beginning of the card all the way to the black belts. That's really nice. Like Fight to Win has been killing it recently with their commentators.
It was fun. This was a fun one too, where I always like how they let loose a little bit in the personality. You see it come through in the commentating, so it makes it more fun. Obviously, very knowledgeable, but they had a lot of jokes, a little bit of like intermission stuff. So it was fun to listen to the whole time.
They kept it active the entire broadcast, and that was really, really nice to see. So moving on to the brown belt results, we have Roberto Jimenez defeating Jake Watson via toe hold. That's fight of the night for the brown belts, deservedly so. Roberto Jimenez becomes the brown belt middleweight champion. We have
Aaron Wilson defeats Brian Anthony via triangle. Tyler Larson, I apologize, defeats John Burns, Darce.
Don't apologize. Everyone knows we butcher the names.
Okay.
Like that's I
take it back.
We apologize at the beginning of the show, at the end of the show. It's in our bumper for the end of the show. Like, I'm sorry if we mispronounced your name. If we did, let us know.
Yeah. Josh Guerra defeats Dionathan Santos, footlock.
And that was submission of the night for the brown belts.
Koa Kalama defeats John O'Hagan, north-south choke.
Yeah, you can sound confident in the names. It's fine. Just like you can butcher them confidently.
Okay.
And it's like John Carlo defeats Matt Blank via decision. Next match, we have Jay Schellenhammer defeating Robert Sanchez via decision. Philip Olsen defeats Juan Gonzalez via decision. See how confident I sound?
Yeah.
Even though I may not be?
No, I think they're right. I think you're doing well. Tyson Antolone. I like how you give me the hard ones.
Yeah, that's what I do, man.
Tyson Antolone defeats Corey Kerber via armbar. And Joe Go defeats Johnny Wintrow, decision.
And out of the purple belt results, yeah, man, I gave you the hard names because, like, it's super easy for me to get, like, Tyler and Shane and John, and I give you, like, Tiago Asso defeats Sergio Camacho via armbar. I still got it.
I appreciate Joe Go, though. That was an easy one.
Yeah.
So let's go to, keeping going with the purple belts, Jonathan Drain defeats Michael Cashman via decision. Spencer Nolan defeats Gabriel Machado via straight ankle lock.
And that was submission of the night for the purple belts.
Gabriel De Los Santos defeats Greg Mooney, decision.
And that was fight of the night for the purple belts.
Johnny Tran defeats Josh Schwartz via triangle. Oscar De Los Santos defeats Jerry Happany, heel hook.
On to the teen results.
Bryce Smith defeats Paulie Westhoff, split decision.
And that was fight of the night for the teens. And he becomes the fight to win strawweight teen no-gi champion.
Joseph Cruz defeats Sane Allman via decision. Amelia Briceño defeats Lexi Barunda, disqualification. And actually watching this match, it was pretty fiery. It actually seemed to happen a few times.
I think this is only the third DQ Fight to Win's ever had. Might be only the second DQ.
Yeah, Lexi was slamming in those, what the hell happened? Reaping. She was reaping in the gi. And eventually, one came across that was so hard, it was like she almost kicked Amelia right in the face. So she was really going at it and eventually got DQ'd.
Yeah, it's really rare. I mean, again, I think there's been two DQs previously to this, and I think the other one that was a DQ was the exact same way. It was someone reaping in the gi. Eventually, he got DQ'd.
Yeah,
but it's always really interesting that like they've had hundreds of matches at this point, and only 3 DQs.
Yeah,
and 2 of them have been via reaping in the gi, and the ref's like, you can't do that.
Yeah,
and they're like, keep doing it. And the ref goes, you can't do that, and then eventually you just get DQ'd.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I like how they give them some warnings and tell them to stop doing something because it allows the match to continue. It was something fun. It doesn't have to be all IBJJF where you're just like, no, you lost.
But I love that. That's what we like fights. That's what we cover Fight to Win because we like the rule set. We like the guys. We like how it runs. We like how they showcase the matches. They run a really good organization, and they've got a rule set that works. Yep. Again, you definitely get some matchups that are definitely slower. You definitely get some cards that are more decision-heavy. But, like, overall, like, the events are good. It's run well. The production is dope. It's exciting. It's a good way to spend an evening watching some grappling.
Agreed.
So on to the next match.
Moving on. Tyler Metcalf defeats Julian King via decision. Delton Kaufman defeats Andrew Chase via decision. Damian Hosokawa defeats Maurice Ramirez via decision, and Cade Roque defeats Alex McCain via Kimura.
And that was submission of the night for the teens. So that does it for Fight to Win in Arizona. Great event. Go back and watch it. Videos are up now. It's Monday morning when we're recording this, so go back and watch those. It's exciting. Definitely go back and watch the Fight of the Nights for these guys. Again, I love Fight to Win. Seth and the whole crew, Troy, Brittany, Missy, Evan, everyone always does a really great job. And the Fight of the Night, submission of the nights are always worth every single week going back and rewatching those, especially the ones that we highlighted today. Those are some fun ass matchups. Any other matchups you wanna highlight here?
I'm trying to remember where I was. I think it was Oscar De Los Santos defeats Jerry Happany via heel hook.
Yeah, and the purple belt's here.
Yeah. And actually, I want to make sure I have that match right. But there was one where they were doing a lot of adjustment with the hands, exactly what we were talking about before, where you're grabbing the elbows to make the switch instead of just grabbing the wrist and kind of like gable gripping and turning. I think a lot of people seem to lose it there. So he made good adjustments with the hands.
Yeah, with that heel hook on the chest is just such a more controlling position and a better position than just with the hands. I think you see a lot of guys at a high level have morphed over to that arm-on-arm grip, that elbow-to-elbow grip with the heel hook and on the chest, as opposed to just trying to finish the old school like Dean Lister with the on the side with like almost like the pistol grip.
Right, and it seems like it's easier to get that pistol grip, like you were saying, if you're laying on the foot. But when the person starts turning, you have to turn with them. Then you kind of lose torque with your elbow down by your hip, so you switch to that elbow grip like you're hugging yourself, and then turn it to keep the torque going, and finishes a lot of heel hooks that way. I've been noticing that with a lot of the high level talent.
Yeah, so that does it for that event. Unless you got anything else to add, Ryan?
That's it.
Moving on. So this is usually the section of the podcast where we preview the upcoming events. There are 3 upcoming events this next weekend. Fight to Win 94. We have King of the Mats 4 and Zapatero 18 or the Gamers Invitational Jiu-Jitsu 1. We had an entire segment recorded here with Matt Saucier. He's been a long-time correspondent with the show, and we are having some issues with the audio. It is about 11:48 p.m. on Monday before the show goes out. So the show goes out in about 10 minutes. I'm unable to fix the audio at this time, so we are going to get that out to you eventually sometime this week, or try to. All 3 of those events are great. You should go and watch all 3 of them. There's some really fun matchups in all of them. We're trying to sort out the audio to get it out to you, but at this time, the show has to go out, so we can't fix that in time. So just kind of behind the curtain, that's what's going on. Go watch those events, and we're going to try to get the rest of the show out, in this week sometime before those events happen. So it's good to have you on, Ryan. It was a good show. I appreciate you always coming on, having good grappling knowledge. It's good to see you.
Of course, good to see you too. Glad to be here.
I love how the only time I see you nowadays is like to do the podcast.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And you get to sit in my
sad silence.
Yeah, it's whatever. Yeah. You get to sit in my cold ass basement.
Yeah,
and record.
It's definitely it's outside temperature down here,
dude. It is fucking cold.
Yeah, the shelter is doing nothing.
I turned off the heat, and not the heat. I turned off the blowing of the air because it comes off across in the broadcast.
Yeah.
And then about 30 minutes later, we were down here. I was like, yo, it's really fucking cold here.
Yeah. Well, I felt like hot, I guess, right when I got here. So I was like, I'm going to take my jacket off. And I think, we just had to pause for a second. I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to put this motherfucker back on.
Yeah, it's really cold. And so I'm realizing why it's so cold is because there's an outlet. We're next to the back wall of the house where we're sitting here for the desk. And there's an outlet that's like uninsulated. And there's literally like a draft of direct cold air coming in from like my patio outside. And I'm like, oh, it's super cold in here.
It's also been creeping towards like 40s and 30s. So
dude,
obviously
cold.
It's going to get cold.
It was below 40 last night.
Yeah.
It's been like not super cold here. I lived 20 years in Maine.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is like warm. But it's definitely, I've lost some of that resilience against the cold over the years.
It happens. You're going to adjust. Maine's a chilly ass state, though.
Dude, it was cold. There's 7 months of winter in Maine. Here we have like 5.
I always went there to go to the beach, oddly enough.
Why?
I don't know.
What beach
you
you
got to
go
ask
to?
my parents. I actually don't remember anything.
Old Orchard Beach?
Yes.
Okay, that's the only good beach in Maine.
Okay.
And even it's not that good.
We would go there and eat lobster and drive 12 hours just to do that. Maybe 14. I don't remember.
It's about a 12-hour drive.
I'm
doing it next week.
I just remember passing so many beaches just to get there.
And you're going to a cold, shitty beach.
Yeah.
I'll say it to their face.
Yeah.
Like, dude, have you been to Ocean City?
Yes.
Beach the shit out of any beach in Maine.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. By the way, Old Orchard Beach in
just
Maine
makes me hate my parents a little bit more.
Is the only sandy beach in Maine.
My dad would make the trip from there back, like all in one trip, because usually we'd be tired from the vacation, and we'd all meet there as the family. There was like 10 or 12 of us all decided to meet far as shit away on this cold ass beach and eat some clawy ass lobsters. And we could have done that anywhere. We could have went to the store and got some lobster and just stayed home. But we decided to drive 12 hours.
You know, I drive this trip like probably 4 or 5 times a year, right?
We all live in Maryland, and we'd all drive to Maine. I don't even have family who lives up there.
Oh, I do. Rachel and I both do.
It's just now that I think about it, it makes less sense than it made when I was younger. Now that
You're
I'm
getting
thinking
like
about
angry about it. You're getting like living. You're like, why do we drive so far? I'm like, dude, it's rough.
I gotta call my mom.
Like, Mom, why do we do this? And she'd be like, yeah, because we want to get away. I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Maybe family had a place up there. I'm sure there was a good reason. It was always fun too, but beach, water.
Yeah,
place to sleep.
I'm doing this drive in. I think we're gonna leave like Wednesday or something like that.
Okay.
Of next week for Thanksgiving, because we always do Thanksgiving up there with my family, Rachel's family. Even though my family is gonna be out of the country, so it's just Rachel's family.
Nice.
So
how do you do it? Do you break it up at all? Do you guys switch shifts, or do you just?
no, my family's both really chill. So it's like we go up there, we hang out, we eat food, and then we basically like we'll see my family for a little bit, and then eat some food there, and then see Rachel's family, and then like just basically we just chill. It's like honestly one of my favorite vacationing is up there, just chilling at her dad's house.
Nice.
Just because we just like hang out. There's like a fire. The
Nice.
dog just chills in front of the fire, like 3 inches from the open flame.
Yeah.
And I touch it from like, yo, dude, you're super hot, and he looks at me like I'm the most comfortable I've ever been.
Yeah, not Mello, but Junior, my the black dog, does that. He'll lay like real close. Funny story about Mello. He used to do that, but
Mello's your dog, by the way.
Oh yeah, Mello's my dog.
The listeners do not know what that is.
Yeah, they don't know. That could be a human being. It might as well.
Mello.
Yeah.
Ryan has a number of dogs.
Yeah. Two numbers.
You always have 3 whenever I'm at your house.
Huh?
You always have like 3 or 4 whenever I'm at your house.
Well,
You're
I always
dog
let
sitting.
people bring their dog or dog sitting. Yeah, I always let somebody bring them too, because even though my dogs are a little bit dickish, they don't like fight. They're just a little bit assholey.
Yeah.
So anyway, Mello got caught on fire one time.
No shit.
I had to the coal. He hit a log like running by. It flicked a coal on his back, and when I slapped it away and started patting him, there was a little patch of hair that missed. And now every time we have a fire, he's a good 10 feet away.
He's like, I remember. Was he like a puppy when this happened?
Yeah, not quite pup, maybe like a year or two. But
Okay.
yeah.
That's
He's
always
like,
good.
fuck that. Yeah, he doesn't forget anything. Of course, he's not gonna forget almost setting on fire.
Getting set on fire. Like everyone remembers that.
Yeah. He remembers the scary burnt hair smell.
Dude, that smell is terrible.
It is.
All right. So, you got anything else going on this week?
Nope. Nothing important.
Any
or
tournaments
fun.
coming up? Any?
There's Naga coming up in White Marsh.
Yeah,
right
I'm
by
looking
us.
at doing that.
Yeah, looking to forcing
'Cause
it
it's
whether I want to
so
or not.
close.
It's so close. Yeah, and usually it's either like Millersville or Frederick. Like they say it's in Maryland, but you gotta
It's like,
drive
it's
somewhere.
really for us usually it's like a 30 to hour drive. Like DC to go to DC Open is usually about an hour drive for us.
At least, yeah. Hyattsville is about an hour.
So it's like this one's literally going to be like 15 minutes. So it's
Yep.
like, even though it's expensive and it's Naga,
Yeah.
like realistically between tolls and gas, it's like I'm probably going to spend less money doing this one. I just missed early registration though.
oh,
I'm kind of upset. So it's
Well,
like
then
it's
so
like
did I.
130 bucks. It's like 130 bucks now, which is just like
fuck.
crazy for a 2-division tournament.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's IBJJF prices,
Yeah,
and it's gonna
without the well-run timing.
man. I've done one. My first tournament I ever did was a Naga
Yeah.
in Connecticut back in like 2014 or something like that.
Yeah.
As a white belt.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it was crazy. I watched my coach cut 18 pounds and compete against a Marcelo Garcia black belt. And it was, I had no idea what any of that meant at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, what does this mean? Is
Yeah.
that a lot of weight?
Yeah,
And then it was just like, I cut down to like 140 on like 3 days. And I was like, I'm going to go do it.
Yeah,
And then I realized I was like, I don't know how to cut weight.
Yeah.
And I just didn't eat anything.
Yeah.
And my coach was like, yo, you gotta eat. And you gotta like, you can't just stop eating to cut the weight. You've got to like, just eat different stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm a white belt. I have no idea.
That makes sense. I
So
feel
that
like
was
I'm
fun.
dying. Yeah.
And then I won a sword, and it was a good day for me.
Sweet. Yeah. When I did, the hell was it? What I just do? New Breed. Yeah. They had this big ass ridiculous belt. It was cool to
Dude, that
win,
belt is dope.
but it's heavy. That shit is heavy.
Ryan, it's because you're 140.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, but it's at least like it's got to be like a
Dude,
4 to 5
I
pound
want-
belt. Like I don't know where to put it. I want to
In
throw
your
it away.
house.
Yeah,
Dog, you'll put it up here. We'll put it on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. We'll hang it up in here.
Yeah. It's
Dude, I want to win a Naga belt. I want to win a New Breed belt. and I want to win a fight to win belt. I'm never going to win a fight to win belt because I'm not that good, and the dudes on fight to wins are murderers.
Yeah.
But I love like the tournaments give you belts, and I definitely want to win a belt.
I always wanted a sword, so that's something I never got.
Dude, I realized that they usually give swords up to kids.
Yeah.
And I realized, so I got first place in my division, and I was like, yo, can I get a sword? And I was like, yeah, you gotta buy one. And I was like, are you serious? So I walked over with my gold medal, and I was like, I won first place in my division. Can I buy a sword? And they were like, yes, $20.
That's awesome.
And I was like, I mean, I'm broke, but I'll do it. So I have a sword from Naga that has a 20. It's a
well, shit.
it's
I
got a
didn't
little
know I
first
could just
place
buy
insignia on it. Well, you got to win first place, and then you
okay.
can buy a sword then. But yeah,
So
I
you earn the right to buy a sword.
Yep, basically is what it was. I was like, this is super weird, but this is apparently how jiu-jitsu works.
Yeah.
And then I realized that in hindsight, that's not how jiu-jitsu works. That's just how Naga works.
That's how Naga
and
works.
And it's just for children,
Is it
usually.
really $130?
I want to say it's like $109 for one division after late registration is over, and then it's $20 for the next division.
I remember you mentioning something. I thought I saw you comment or post or somewhere about how $15 is ridiculous for a spectator
I don't
fee.
like spectator fees for tournaments.
Why wouldn't you have free spectators so that you have more people who are willing to compete? You know, you'd think you'd let more people in. You're not gonna make money off like grandmas and parents coming to watch. I guess parents come in to watch their kids and stuff. That's stupid.
But still, it's just like, it's not like, again, I was there coaching, and I paid a spectator fee because we didn't have enough guys for me to get a free coaching pass. But it was just like, come on, man. It's like even $10 is still like expensive for like me to go and like watch. I'm not watching jiu-jitsu. Like, I'm there supporting my team and like helping my team out.
If you're watching Gi and No-Gi, there could be like hours in between that shit sometimes.
There were.
And it's ridiculous.
There was.
Yeah, to sit there for a couple hours, it's not
But
like...
it's being paid as like I'm there spectating the event and like sitting in bleachers and watching it like high level. I'm coaching white and blue belts and purple belts.
Right. Yeah, you're lucky if you see somebody who is going to be... Like, every once in a while, they'll throw in... I thought I saw the Grappling Industries that was around
Yeah, they won some super fights, which is awesome.
Yeah. And there was... the Lloyd Irving dudes. There was
Tim Spriggs showed up, and DJ Jackson showed up. And,
so that's cool. Like, obviously, that's cool. If you're going to see some real talent come in or something.
But it's like a local event. And it's always weird to me to pay a spectator fee for all of these things where it's just like, I'm not really spectating. Like, I'm there to like support my team and like assist my team in competing. Like, I'm almost like a cornerman for my team. I'm not really there to just like shoot the shit and hang. I think people might go do that, but I've literally never been to a tournament to go do that. And I'm pretty knees deep in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. So it's just like, I don't know. It's always weird to me. It's always like kind of a weird place to get more money.
I know it's hard to make money in those tournaments too, but
I get it. But it's just like it's $100+ registration fee. It's just like, yo, let someone who's from your team like come to like, especially if they're gonna coach.
Yeah.
Like I'm on the mat like coaching guys. Like I did that for hours on Saturday.
Or at least let like one or two people come free, because maybe it's the person who's driving you, or like you said, the coach or something like that. And then after that, maybe start charging.
But it's just like, it's not like your whole team's gonna but the room's never gonna fill up. This is Grappling.
I know. I'm just saying shit to say shit, but it's not. It's not gonna fill up.
So that's whatever. But it is what it is. So hopefully hoping to compete soon. My knee's basically healed up at this point.
That's good. I forgot it was injured.
Yeah, I didn't. It's not been great. When it gets cold now, I'm realizing that it's cold outside. I'm like, oh great, my knee's creaky.
What are you just warming up like extra amounts of time? Or
basically, yeah.
I'm just staying away from positions. Is it that bad?
There's like two positions I don't like still. They're like I can work them. There's a particular like elevator hook I can't really use as well. And but for the most part, I'm back 100%. And there's like one knee cut slide that I don't like to do in the gi. But other than that, 99% of other positions are completely fine in my game. My A game is back to exactly where it should be. There's just two spots where I'm kind of like, I don't boot the leg out like a meathead now. Yeah. So honestly, I do better technique. It's just like I can't rip the leg through now. It's like because I don't want to hurt it again.
Yeah, I gotta say, I always hate getting injured, obviously, but any of my injuries has always taught me something more about myself and how to control the other person, and when I need to just let things happen to me. There's not always the necessary need to roll up on my knees if a 200-pound guy is keeping me inside control, because they're gonna land on my ribs or some other shit that's gonna happen to me. So yeah.
All right. So that does it for this week's episode of the Grappling Ryan. Unless you got anything else, Ryan.
That's it.
All right. Always a pleasure to have you. And I've been Maine.
I'm Ryan Stark.
And we'll see you on the mats. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google Plus.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
Let us know.
reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.